when we launched this last year, the intention was very simple. We really have a lot more capability that we can share. So is there a way for us to, instead of just giving money, find a way to share our capabilities with the sector which is evolving but could probably use some corporate help or some process help, right? So what it does for us is it creates a multiplier effect. As opposed to giving some amount of money to one organization or two organizations or three organizations, can we find a way to actually make those organizations grow more effectively, meet their strategies, meet their agendas?
This has been an effort over years. First to conceptualize something like this, then to define it, and then to go out and make sure it is compliant. A very futuristic thought has been institutionalized. So I think it is not only different, it is also very ahead of its time.
For the past 15 years in Genpact, and there's been a constant evolution towards disruption and transformation kind of project. When I look at GSIF, when I look at the opportunities social sector gives us, I would say there are immense.
The experience was fairly mind-opening because we were getting into the social sector where we had no domain expertise. There were a lot of challenges that we faced, not just from an organization perspective, but also from the perspective of the fellows who were actually out there on the field. Working in those very difficult conditions, I think they've been able to demonstrate a tremendous amount of impact, and that's a very, very fulfilling feeling.
GSIF 1.0 has been a fantastic journey. We've achieved a lot we learned when we started, and I think as we move into 2.0, one of the key things for us is how do we make it more strategic. It's just not about creating some processes, it's not about making improvement, it's about how do we create long-term impact.
How GSIF has impacted Udayan care, I think there is only one word, and which is fantabulous. If you look at the kind of 6 playbooks these 2 GSIF fellows they have created, I think it's really going to impact the program in a big way. Now the pilot is done and they took a buying in with all my different stakeholders in different cities as well as my head office. So it's like co-creating.
To begin with, in social sector, a lot of work that we do is very, very people-driven. It's driven by their passion, it's driven by their motivations, and it's very action-oriented. What we forget is sometimes just the process efficiency of the projects that we are doing. And what GSIF did for us, they looked at our current stuff and they said, you're all doing the great work, but can we put that together in a module and make it easier for you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time?
The fellows really brought in a disciplined, rigorous way in which they were able to map a lot of complicated processes in government, which otherwise have never been mapped before. They've historically been developed over years and they're really messy, and really come up with simple, low cost, and in fact in both cases no cost solutions, which simplified the process and therefore could make administrators and managers focus more on children and their learning, teaching, rather than just on administrative aspects. So both projects have caused enormous impact on children's lives and making government efficient.
So before I came to GSIF, I had a lot of ideas on how we can change social sector and what's right, what's not right. But with GSIF, I actually got the opportunity to implement those changes.
So for Teach for India, we created a digital process model which showed that how data can easily be captured through app, and once it's converted into meaningful information, it can create magic.
In Genpact, we need to only focus on what we are supposed to deliver. Rest everything in taken care of. But when we went in, to work with Kaivalya Education Foundation, where we don't have any influence at all, or in fact we don't have any authority, still we want to achieve the goal.
The biggest achievement is that though we started working with the government officials, they were resistant to our solutions. But at the end of the journey, we were able to convince them.
My recommendation to fellows would be to put your egos in the safest locker wherever you can.
And I would say that the most important thing is that you should remember why did you join this program. So throughout in your ups and downs, just remember that, and that will help you to go through and achieve what you want to achieve.
I have worked in the corporate sector for a little over 10 years, and yes, there is a difference when you work in an organization such as Genpact for over 10 years versus when you work in an NGO sector. We in our culture have grown on process-driven activities. We have defined roles and responsibilities. Whereas over there, one person is playing multiple roles, which could be a plus or a minus at the same time.
I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of my friends to come and be a part of this journey, which is not only professionally rewarding, but also emotionally satisfying.
The next batch of fellows should want to have a lot of fun. I keep saying that. We have to take ourselves less seriously. It's going to be a lot of gratification and a lot of feel good and all of that, but it's also going to be a lot of hard work. Things that we've learned for years have to be unlearned, not because you want to give back to society, but because you want to give value to your work. And when there's value to work, things will automatically go back to society.